Everybody, it's Trent Austin from Austin Custom Brass. Hope you're doing great today. Stay tuned for this live video. We're going to do some live noodles, something we do routinely online. And today is going to be a Harmon Mute test, as you can see by all these little Harmons behind me. If you have comments, post them here. We'll love to talk about them and discuss about the Harmon Mutes a little bit more. So thanks for watching. Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Trent Austin, and my first name's Trent, so by calling me Austin, that's a pet peeve of mine, so sorry, Ken. But we're going to do some Harmon Mute testing today. We have let's see how many Harmons we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 7 different Harmon Mutes. It's a little bit overdue. One of our customers asked for a comparison between the Soulo Harmon and the Trumcor Zinger, so I decided why not do a video of a bunch of them together. So first, let's start with the lowest on the price spectrum. This is a beautiful Best Brass, by the way. I love this Best Brass Harmon. We have all 3 versions in stock, by the way. Let's go. Oh, wait. I have another Harmon Mute. I have to ask Kyle to bring it in. So, hey, Kyle, on top of the printer is a Faxx mute right there. Right there, right where you are. Right? Turn around. Can you bring that in? Yeah. So, anyways, hope you're all doing well. Sorry for the little bit of inside radio, we'll say. He's bringing in one other Harmon Mute in for me to try out. And so we'll actually have 8 Harmon Mutes on this display. We do this primarily as a live thing, so if you have a song request, please post them. If you have a question about the Harmon Mutes in general, let me know. Post the comments here. Kyle will also be moderating. I thought he was bringing that in. On top of the printer. Yeah. It was supposed to be a Faxx mute, copper Faxx mute. So, well, there was one in that room, so. But either way, we're sort of searching for the Lost Harmon. Sounds like a good movie. While we're searching for the Lost Harmon, I will skip over that one and go. So, this is a great budget Harmon Mute, the Tom Crown Harmon Mute. We have these in brass, aluminum, and copper. So I will start this with the copper. The aluminum. So I'm going to turn off the talking mic and turn on my trumpet mic. So these will be all unedited raw audio. So there's nothing sweetened or anything on these. On this one, I don't know, can you hear me okay on this mic? Maybe I could just use that same mic. On this one, the intonation is quite good. It goes down to a low F sharp. You have to be careful on some of the mutes. They don't go clearly down to a low F sharp, which I don't like. Some mutes can be really super resistant as well, so they can be very tight. This one's not tight at all. And the upper register is quite nice as well. Has a nice good buzz to it. Let me compare this one. This is just the regular aluminum tom crown with the copper, and the copper is significantly heavier. It feels like it's twice as heavy. I was like blowing some warm air into the instrument so that they don't pop out while you're playing. So here's the copper tom crown. Let me grab the other one, just play it right next to it. You hear stuff, post your comments. Again, the copper. Do you hear a difference? If you hear a difference, post what you hear. I hear a difference, and I prefer for you to tell me what you feel. This is also an archived video for people later on, so they can see some of these and hear them. And the cool thing about the tom crown, maybe I need to go this way. I have to go reverse. Made in the USA. So these mutes are American made, which is great. Now we'll go to the Soulo mute. Hold on a second. Kyle? That's what I want. Wasn't it in that room?
No.
Oh, I swear it was. Okay. So this is like our budget mute, which is, it looks like it's a copy of the tom crown. If tom crown and maybe Best Brass had a love child. So we'll get to this in just a second. Since I've already got the Soulo mute. Soulo Harmon's awesome. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. Nope, I can't. Sorry. But it's interesting. This one is a hybrid. So you can see it's part aluminum and part copper. So it has a little bit of both good and bad aspects. Copper does certain things to the sound. I think you can probably hear them. This is a pretty basic setup with a microphone, so maybe you can't. But this does a little bit of both. I don't like the low register in this mute as much. But it's a very nice mute to play. It's got great evenness on it. And I think on a microphone, the Soulo mute sounds really, really good. I'll try to get a little closer to these mics and turn it down a bit so you can hear it. I think it has a nice warmth to it. Let me turn these mics down. So I dig this one when I play only on a mic. But if I'm not playing on a mic, I'm not always liking it. And the weight of each mute is also something that I'm pretty particular in. I want to play this one. This was the first mute that I wanted to try, but I had set up in a different room and then I moved everything to this room. This is the Faxx. This is distributed through American Way. Also made in the USA, which is pretty cool. This is a copper one. We have aluminum versions of this as well. This is pretty heavy. I don't know the exact weight of this. This bell is pretty big flared, so this one goes in pretty far on this horn. Every horn's going to be different as well, so you want to be able to, let me shut this door now. You want to be able to hopefully test them out or get something where you can test them, or ask, like for us, if you said, oh, I play a Bach and can you test these mutes in a Bach and which one do you like? We're happy to do it. So this is the Faxx copper mute. That sounds very vintagey. I hope you heard the difference between that and the Soulo mute. I'll bring the Soulo back so you can hear it. The low register is quite good on this mute. Maybe not as good as on the Tom Crown. Let me just show you. I'll take the copper Tom Crown mute so you can hear that again. Very different sound. Very different. But the low register is really clear on that one. Back to the Soulo mute. You got to think about it this way. How cool is it that you could put something in and instantly change your sound? Like, how awesome is that? I think we underrate the value of mutes. And as an improvising musician who does a lot of duo and trio stuff, I always play in mutes, and I love the different vibe I can get with mutes. Like, I'll often go to a gig with 2 or 3 different Harmon mutes, and people go, why? That's silly. But this mute sounds totally different than the Trumcor Zinger, which I love the Zinger. It's probably my favorite, I'll admit. It's a lot louder from behind the bell. And I just saw like my mic level, and I saw that was peaking as well. Of course, if you have comments, yay, nays, yeah, buts. If you want to hear a certain song, I can play it on each mute. But this is more of an introductory thing, so I can share this with our customers. All of the different mutes that we have. I mean, this is some of them. We actually have a few more that we might be out of stock of right now. So that's the Trumcor Zinger. It's the lightest of all of the Harmon mutes. All of the Harmon mutes you see, this one is really, really, really light, which is, I like the lightness of it because I don't want a heavy mute, like sort of pushing my horn down. Oh, I should ask, hold on a second. I'm going to ask Kyle. Hey, Kyle, can you grab an aluminum bubble mute, Jo-Ral? If we have one. We might be out of, I know we're out of stock of the copper bubbles, but the Zinger is actually, no, I think it's aluminum. But they do make a copper version of the Zinger, and I tried it, but personally I didn't like it as much because it was just a little too heavy for me. Again, if you just are tuning in, this is a comparison of the mutes that we offer. Jason, good question. Your bell is about the size of my bell, so the Zinger fits in quite nicely. This bell flare is actually a little bit bigger than the A8 bell, so the Zinger fits in really nicely. I'm pulling on this and it's not coming out. The Soulo Harmon, also really good. I am pulling on this. I don't want to dangle my trumpet upside down, it will fall. But that's good, it's a firm. You can see it's not moving anywhere. So you want something that fits in nice and maybe doesn't go flush against the bell. Perhaps the Tom Crown there's too much insertion, which will raise the pitch as well. Let's try. I haven't tried the new bass. I haven't tried the new Best Brass mutes. I love the angle that they do like you can see the shape of how it goes in the bell. I wonder if that does anything to change the intonation. So, thank you. There's Kyle's hand, everybody. This of course is a hugely popular mute. This is the Jo-Ral bubble. And for years I played a Jo-Ral copper bubble. We'll get to the Jo-Ral in a bit, but now I'm on the Best Brass. Again, I love the shape of that and how it goes in. If you're just tuning in, thanks so much for tuning in. This is an episode of a little bit of Live Noodles where you can ask for a tune, but this is a little bit more of an informative, hey, you have lots of Harmon Mutes, and also how to pick a Harmon Mute for you, which a lot of people don't really know, I think. I have different Harmon Mutes for different jobs. If I play lead trumpet, I have a Charlie Davis Harmon Mute that's amazing, an old one. It's really bright and zingy. It cuts through really well. For my jazz gigs, if I'm on a mic, I like using the Soulo Harmon Mute. I like using the Emo Harmon Mute, which is an Italian Harmon Mute. I have an old one. I think Clark gave it to me years ago at his house. He goes, try this mute, and I love it. I have, on a mic, I love the Soulo. Off a mic, if I'm in a room where I'm not amplified and I need to project a little bit on Harmon, I use the Trumcor Zinger, which I love. So here's the Best Brass. They make 3 versions of this mute. This is the aluminum one. So check this out. This might have the most even sound in a Harmon Mute I've played. You can hear it. It's incredibly even. I like the buzziness to it, but it doesn't have enough buzz for me, just personally. Then they make a brass version. That last song I think was called I Don't Want to Be Kissed by Anyone But You. Miles played it. That's the Best Brass. That's the Best Brass. This is their brass version. It's probably about twice as heavy as that previous one. The aluminum one is quite light, which I like. Again, you want to make sure that it fits nicely. This does fit nicely even with this huge bell flare and this horn. And I'm pulling on it. You want to be able to make sure that the mute doesn't fly out and flop out. I'm pulling on this pretty hard, and it's not coming out, which is really good because you want to keep a great seal on it. Much darker. I'm going to bring that aluminum one back, and we'll do some side-by-sides. Thanks again for tuning in, by the way, to a live Noodles, sort of. Live Harmon Noodles. Back to what I remember when I was playing the Tom Crown at the beginning of this session, I think I mentioned that I like the aluminum better. It's the same thing here. I like the aluminum better. Now, that could be, folks, because my horn is copper, and there's a lot of copper in the horn, so maybe it's just too much of a copper overload. Again, the weight of this, though, that's a big thing for me. It's so light, it doesn't feel like you're putting something heavy in the horn. Everybody has their own preference, though, and that's why you want, if you can go to a music store and try out a bunch, it's cool because you can actually dial in your sound. Remember, this is like the quickest way to instantly change your sound. Think about it. And who doesn't like the sound of a Harmon Mute? Come on. I think any trumpet player, when they do a gig for non-musicians, you put the mute in and people go, oh, cool. It reminds me of Miles Davis, or reminds me of, this or this. And I think the Harmon Mute, especially when you're playing a gig where people are scared about playing the trumpet and they feel like it's so loud and it's going to hit you, it's inviting. It's having people come closer because I'm playing Harmon Mute. It's not nearly as scary. So I'm going to go back and play the aluminum version of the Best Brass, and then I'll play the brass version again. Low register is very good. So far, the best low register for me is a tie between the Tom Crown and the Trumcor. You hear a difference? I'll play a ballad. And of course, what better ballad? Then, that's the aluminum best brass. Here's the brass best brass. So if it's the brass version of the best brass, is it even better brass? Bestest brass? I don't know. Terrible. Do you hear a difference between the two mutes? If you do, post your opinions in the comments. Now we get to the copper version of the best brass. Here you go. Here's the full copper version of the best brass. Oh, that sounds really nice from back behind the bell. It does, however, for me, add a fair amount of resistance to the feel. Who would have thought that by adding some material to the mute, you get a difference in resistance? But you definitely do. This is pretty tight for me. Your mileage may vary, of course, always. But for me, this feels pretty. It sounds awesome, but it feels a little too tight playing wise. Here's blue and green on it. Hey, missed notes are free. Good low G. Let me just now switch to the aluminum version of the best brass. Again. I like the buzziness of this. I don't know if you hear it. It's a little bit more present for me. Let me switch and now play blue and green on the Soulo Harmon Mute. Again, if you have a comment or question or a yeah but, let me know. The comments on my streaming service here are a little delayed, just to give you a heads up. That has so much buzz compared to the best brass. I don't know if you hear it. That's a nice sounding mute, I think. And here's the zinger. Blue and green on the zinger. We're going to go back to one of the early mutes that I did. And again, just to let you know, if you missed this, this is going to be an archive on YouTube. It will take a while to upload. Once it is, you can always go back and refer to this. Hopefully, for our customers, it's going to be a nice way for you to sort of get an idea of what the Harmon Mute sounds before you purchase it. They all sound a little different. Like I said, we always want to change horns because it's like, you know, when you play Copernicus, it's a drastically different sound. But imagine when you just switch up a Harmon Mute, which is an easy thing to do, and you completely change the vibe of your playing. Tom Crown, aluminum. Then, best brass. So you can hear a pretty marked difference between those. Soulo. You also have to factor in sometimes how it sounds versus maybe the playability. I got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of how this one feels when I play it, but the sound behind the bell is maybe the most interesting of all of those. Yeah, I agree, Andrew, on the best brass. Especially the aluminum ones respond for me, but the brass and the copper, they take a little bit too much energy for me. These are all decisions that you have to make. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit in the sound shape for playability. Say you have you have to play a lot of hard music on Harmon Mute, like a contemporary classical music or hard lead parts or things like that. You might have to pick a mute that's easier to play, but that maybe doesn't have as much ring and buzz and color to the sound. Also, a big thing that I mentioned earlier, you have to decide how they all sound different on a mic as well. And often you're going to be on a mic when you're playing Harmon Mute. So you have to choose which one sounds the best on the mic. For me, this is again a personal reaction. On the mic, the Soulo Harmon Mute sounds the best for me. Off the mic, the Zinger sounds the best for me. And I use both of those. And then I have something in between. I have actually 2 or 3 other Harmon Mutes I use. Like I said earlier in this discussion, I have a Charlie Davis mute that I love. I have a emo mute that Clark gave me that I love as well. So here's the, this is the Jo-Ral, turn down the brightness here. This is the Jo-Ral aluminum bubble. We're out of copper. We have them on order. We should get them in within a week, but we're out of those. This is the aluminum version. What I hear on this is like a little bit of in between everything. It has a good buzz to it. It has a really fun center. It's easy to play. It's not as interesting of a sound shape. Even for me, even the Tom Crown. I love this Tom Crown mute. Has more buzz. Right off the bat, you hear like a brightness to it. If that's what you're going for, and that's what I like to go for, then that's cool. It maybe not as fun to play faster lines on. Hope you find this live video informative. If you're just tuning in, we've done about a half hour now of live demonstrations of different Harmon Mutes. It was a request from one of my customers, and unfortunately it took me this long to get to it because the shop's been so busy. Yay for being busy, and thank you so much for your awesome support, everybody. We can't do it without you. If you're in the market for a Harmon Mute, I highly recommend to review this video and check out what you like for the sound of the mutes that we sell. And there are some mutes that we don't sell because I don't like how they play. For instance, the really inexpensive version of the Harmon Mute I don't like. If you want to do that, the Faxx aluminum Harmon isn't that expensive, and it's quite good. I would spend a little bit more money and go with the Tom Crown. The Tom Crown aluminum is an awesome mute. I do love that solo mute. Let me play that straight horn tune on the zinger. This is the Trumcor zinger. And thank you guys for your comments. Paul, that's very nice of you. If you had to choose just one all-arounder, what would you go for? Southside. It says Southside Jazz, so I'm assuming maybe you're a big band and small group player. If that was the case, I would go for the zinger. Honestly, unless you do a lot of close mic work, if you're on a mic all the time, go for the solo Harmon, or go for maybe the aluminum Best Brass or the aluminum Tom Crown. This is subjective because I have a copper horn, so maybe the copper horn doesn't work really well with copper mutes, but I don't like the way the copper mutes react with me. I want something that's easier buzzing and quick and light. Also, remember, when you get on a mic, there's a lot to be talking about mic technique. I have a mini lesson actually on mic technique. You should check it out, especially when you play mutes. It's really important to know how to play in a mute on a mic because you can get so much more color when you experiment all around that microphone especially with a Harmon mute. Check that out. If I only had one choice for a mute out of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mutes that we have in today's demonstration, if I only could choose one, I think I would choose the zinger because of all of the possibilities it does, but it would be really close between the zinger and the solo Harmon mute. And then third would probably be the aluminum Best Brass, and fourth would be the aluminum Tom Crown. If I was on a budget, I would go aluminum Tom Crown all the days of the week, and then maybe the solo Harmon mute. I hope this video was informative and helpful for all of you. I have to unfortunately go back to work. Otherwise, I'd be playing in a Harmon mute all day, and I would love it. Thank you so much for your great support of the shop. We couldn't do it without you. We really appreciate all you do for the shop. If you ever have any additional questions about this, just send us an email, info@austinCustomBrass.com. Our Harmon Mutes are up online, and we'll put some links in the YouTube description for all of our Harmon Mutes as well. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day, and happy harmoning. Harmoning? So, cheers.